and we'll fly. Oh, we'll fly away, away, away. Yeah.
Hello, it's your boy Davidoff. Yes, that is a lion, and yes, I'm wearing a DC hat to a Marvel movie because that makes sense. I mean, it's super related. I don't have a Marvel cap. I need to get a Marvel cap from somewhere. I need to get a Marvel related cap. But anyway, all my caps are like Batman or sports related. But that's a different conversation. So this is about Captain Marvel. I'm going to see it and I'm going to review it in this video as well. So before we go and see it though, let me just talk about the controversy around it, the hate around it, and what I think about the hate and the movie itself as well. So yeah, pretty much. First of all, there's the trailers. So the trailers came out, the first two trailers. People were hating on it because they didn't like the trailers, they didn't hype them up, trailers weren't great. I understand what they mean. I quite like the trailers, to be honest. I didn't think they were bad, but a lot of people didn't like them. A lot of people hated the trailers, they were not looking forward to it. Me personally, like, judging movies on trailers it's not the best way to judge it, because there's been a lot of great movies with bad trailers. There's been a lot of great trailers for bad movies. For example, Age of Ultron. The teaser trailer for that was amazing. I'm gonna show you something beautiful. You know that deep Ultron voice? You know, you're all puppets tangled in strings. There are no strings on me. That was an amazing trailer, right? The movie was disappointing. Then Brie Larson's comments surfaced. So first of all, she was asking for more diversity at the press tours for Captain Marvel, pretty much. She was talking about how it's mostly white men and how there's not enough people of color, women of color, women, etc. Low percentage, and a lot lower percentage than men. It's majority white men is what she's trying to say. And then more comments turned up when she was talking at an award show. I think she was talking about A Wrinkle in Time. She was basically saying, like, she was talking about percentages, like percentages of white men watching, not watching, but reviewing movies. She's talking about reviewers, not viewers in general. Talking about the critics, the people who review the movies professionally. Talking about them. She's talking about how it's mainly white men, how there's not enough women of color, etc. How there's not enough minorities. And one of her comments was, I don't need a 40-year-old white man to tell me what he thinks about, what he didn't like about A Wrinkle in Time. Is what she said basically. She was talking about a movie called Wrinkle in Time. She said she doesn't need a 40-year-old white man to tell her what's wrong with it, pretty much. And yeah, those comments were aggressive, and I don't think it was done in the right way. I get why you want diversity. The problem is, like, the way she said it, it felt like she was excluding white men from seeing it. I think people did blow it out of proportion though, because people assumed that they were being excluded from watching Captain Marvel, and she didn't say that about Captain Marvel. She said it about Wrinkle in Time, and she was talking about critics. She wasn't talking about general viewers, she was talking about critics, the people who review them professionally. Not me, like actual critics, Rotten Tomatoes, etc. People that go on press tours, that watch the movie before everyone else, and review it before everyone else sees it. Those people who is what she was talking about, not the general audience. So from the critics, she was excluding. It seemed like she was excluding white men, and she also talked about in Captain Marvel she wanted to see more critics of color. You should never look to exclude people, regardless of who they are. Even if they're white men, you can't look to exclude them. You can't. I mean, I don't think she was trying to exclude them. She was talking about how she wanted to put more seats at the table. Basically, she wanted more people of color to watch the movie instead of less white people. I think that's basically what she justified her comments by. But it's still, the way she said it was just what was wrong. Yeah, the movie's come out now. There's been a lot of reviews. Based on the ones that I've seen, it's been very mixed. People have said it's terrible. People have said it's great. People have said it's top 5 Marvel movies. People have said it's lower than For the Dark World, and for me, For the Dark World is the worst MCU movie. So for anyone to put it below that is an interesting statement. So, like, I don't let opinions sway me. I listen and watch the reviews and read reviews before I watch the movie, but I do that not to sway my opinion. I do that just to see what people think. I like YouTube reviewers. I trust them more than Rotten Tomatoes. Rotten Tomatoes, I stopped liking Rotten Tomatoes after BVS. BVS I don't think was great, but it does not deserve the hate it got. And Man of Steel doesn't either. Man of Steel got a lot of hate. That's a good movie. It got a lot of hate. BVS, again, I don't think it was great. I thought it was alright. But it did not deserve the hate that it got, BVS. It just did not deserve it. So after those two movies, And after DC fan watching, like listening to those reviews, reading those reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, I thought, I'm gonna check this website. I'm gonna check it for percentages in future movies, but I'm not gonna take the reviews seriously. I mean, I saw the reviews for Aquaman, and some of them said too much water, too much CGI, and I was just face palming like, they're underwater. Of course, gonna be a lot of CGI. There's gonna be a lot of water. That's the whole point. He's Aquaman. Actually, let me add to that. Also, on top of that, I think people rely too much on critics. I think people rely too much on reviews. I think you never really know how good or bad a movie is until you see it for yourself. In my opinion, like, you'll never know your opinion unless you actually see the movie. That's just my opinion. I think there's a lot of people who hate on it because they haven't even seen it yet, and they're already hating on it, and I think that's a bit weird. If you haven't seen it, then I don't see how you can think it's bad, because, well, I think you have to see it to judge it. That's on any movie in existence. Like, I think people rely too much on reviews, but yeah, it is what it is. But back to the video. I'm still worried about it though. I am worried about it. I'm worried about it because not because of the trailers, not because of what people are saying, not because of the reviews. You see, because I always go in neutral. To every movie I see, I go in neutral. Regardless of reviews, I watch reviews before, I listen to reviews before, but regardless of what reviews think, regardless of what my friends think or other people think that I know, I always go in neutral, completely neutral. I never expect it to be good, never expect it to be bad. I just go in neutral, wanting it to be good. I am worried because she is going to play a big role in Endgame. Avengers Endgame. Now, Avengers Endgame is the end of an 11-year storyline, and she has just come in just before Endgame with a solo movie. So if I don't like this movie, then that might take away from Endgame for me. So yeah, that's a little bit of a worry. And there's a rumor that she plays a big role in taking out Thanos. If she does, I hope it's not on her own. And also, the Russos handle movies really well. They made some of the best MCU movies, so even if they put a lot of her in there, she probably might be good in Endgame. I think she might be better than Endgame than in Captain Marvel. That's my prediction at this point anyway, because Russo brothers just, they step it up. For example, Captain America. Captain America, the first movie, I didn't like it. Then he was in Avengers, the very next movie. The very next movie was Avengers. And he was okay in that. I felt it was a bit better, a bit more enjoyable, but I still wasn't a big fan. But then the Winter Soldier came along, and I was blown away. I was like, wow, this guy is the real deal. And that was directed by the Russos. So, you know, the Russos can probably get Captain Marvel to be better in their movie. I hope to see a team effort in Endgame. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. If it's just Captain Marvel on her own in Endgame, defeating Thanos, then that would be... I'd be slightly annoyed probably because she's just come in. But we'll see what happens. Alright, so let's go and watch the movie. Hello there, sir. You missed your cap again.
Yeah.
Forgot his cap. Unbelievable.
Yeah, unbelievable.
You know what we're watching?
What to do? I have completely forgotten this cap.
Yes, he has.
What?
Do you know what we're watching?
Yeah, I don't know. You are
Captain Marvel.
Oh, that's very good, very good.
Very good.
Very good, I know.
I'm pretty sure doesn't know who she is, but yeah, Captain Marvel is what we're watching. So yeah, are you excited?
Yeah, I'm very happy.
He enjoys most of the Marvel movies, most of them.
Yeah.
He enjoys the Marvel movies.
Yeah.
So yeah, this should be interesting. So yeah, let's do this. You ready?
Ready.
Here you see the rollover hot dog. It says on the packaging that it's the best hot dog in the world, and I gotta say, it's definitely the best hot dog I've had at this Cineworld. It's expensive, but it's definitely the best I had. So to be fair, I cannot disagree. Back to the vlog. It's raining outside very heavily. What do you think of the movie? What do you think?
Good one.
You liked it?
This
What?
woman acted earlier also.
Did she?
No, wonderful woman. Don't say.
Wonder Woman?
No, some woman they call.
I don't...
Earlier we saw a film, woman was...
Oh, King Kong?
No, a woman was acting.
Yeah.
Famous, you became famous from the film. You took me.
I don't remember what you're talking about.
Stunt.
There's someone in the movie that he thinks he knows. I have no idea.
But, yeah.
You liked it, yeah?
Yeah.
Out of 10?
I can put 10, 8.
8 out of 10. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh dear. Oh dearie me. Alright, so I'm back home now. We actually got a lift because my granddad asked for a lift because he couldn't go home in the rain, so I went as well. So yeah, it was the weather's pretty bad right now, but yeah, here's my thoughts on Captain Marvel. It was passable. I think that's the right term for it. It wasn't great. I didn't love it. I liked parts of it. I really liked. There's some scenes that I loved. There's some scenes that I quite liked. Storyline was okay. It wasn't that special, to be fair. Brie Larson as Captain Marvel doesn't. I mean, it kind of works. It kind of doesn't. It's not nowhere near perfect. There's definitely room for improvement, and I hope she does improve because it's not quite there yet with Captain Marvel. I just hope that in Endgame she looks a lot better. And obviously in Endgame it's decades after her movie takes place. The movie takes place in the 90s. I'm pretty sure it takes place in 1995. I think they didn't reference it, but they said they're referencing an event in 89, and that was 6 years ago. So 95. That was the year I was born. So that was a nice a nice thing for me to realize. Speaking of the 90s, because it was a 90s movie and I'm a 90s kid, I was expecting some 90s nostalgia in the movie. It didn't quite deliver on that, to be honest. Like what you see in the trailer, the blockbuster, that's the main one. There's some other references there, 90s music. There's a box related to the 90s. There's an arcade sort of thing. It's there. It's just not done well enough. I just expected more out of it because it takes place in the 90s. I thought I'd see more things from the 90s, and it just wasn't there. It doesn't need to be there, to be fair, because it doesn't really matter towards the story. But still, it would have been nice because they sold us some 90s nostalgia in the trailers with Blockbuster as well. Blockbuster video showing up. But yeah, I just wanted to see a bit more of that. The pacing, the main issue in this movie is the pacing. Obviously, I said already, Brie Larson's Captain Marvel, it wasn't quite there. It wasn't quite there. I don't think it was that special. So I hope she's better in future movies because she's going to be a part of future movies. So I just hope she gets better. To be fair, like Captain America, the First Avenger, as I said earlier, I mean, I didn't like it. I think it was okay at best. This one was kind of the same. This is kind of the same as First Avenger for me anyway. They're passable movies, but they're not particularly that good. They're just okay. They're just fine. You know what I mean? It's not terrible, but it's also not great. It's just somewhere in the middle. Which is not really that good for a Marvel movie that's like, well, what, 20 movies in now? I think, wait, we're 20, this is the 21st movie in the MCU, so for a franchise to go 21 movies long and a 21st one to be just okay, that is an issue. That is an issue. I can understand that. I need to go see reviews again because whether I like the movie or not, I like to see different people's perspectives of the movie. I enjoy looking at that. If I love a movie, I still want to see why people hate it. If I hate a movie, I want to see why they liked it. I like to see different opinions, both positive and negative. I think it's good to like get different opinions from people. So I'm gonna check out some more negative reviews. I want to see, like, because a lot of people hated it. A few people hated it, and I want to see why in their reviews. So I want to like watch some. Well, I've watched some already. I want to watch them again. Watch some more as well. I want to like see more reviews just to see, like, because I don't think this was like a hateable film. I think, to be fair, people probably expected a lot from this film. Since we're so far into the MCU, maybe that's why I let them down. But yeah, I don't see it as something that's like it's so bad that you hate it. I don't think it was that bad. It wasn't as bad as Venom. I mean, that's not a good comparison, to be fair. I liked Venom as well. I liked Venom, but yeah, this is definitely nowhere near the worst MCU movie, but it's also nowhere near the best either. So it's with Captain America: First Avenger for me, like with somewhere down the middle somewhere. But yeah, it's not that good. It's passable, as I said. But yeah, as I was going to say, the main issue is the pacing. At the start, it's good. At the start, I think, like, first it starts off in space, mainly in space and other planets, and then it gets to Earth eventually. When it gets to Earth, that's when the pacing starts getting a bit all over the place for me. I never know the difference between first, second, and third act. I'm pretty sure the third act is the finale. The first act is just the start of the movie. And when is the borderline between first and second and third? I never know. This is why I'm not some critic. I'm just a normal guy just watching movies. But the point is, the middle of the movie, when they get to Earth, it goes too slow. It goes too slow. There's a couple scenes that kind of get boring. I won't lie. But yeah, it's just a bit too slow. And I sometimes I don't mind slow as long as they advance the story well. It just wasn't really quite clicking and working. Samuel Jackson I liked, Coulson I liked. I thought they were fine. It was good to see younger, inexperienced versions of them. It was pretty interesting. The way Nick Fury loses his eye is very anticlimactic. Like, again, just like the nostalgia from the 90s, it's not meant to be a big part of the story, but still, you expect something more from it, and it just happened. It just happened. It wasn't like in a serious scene. Because, you know, Nick said the last time he trusted someone, he lost an eye. So I thought it would be like a more serious thing, but it's the way he lost it. I mean, I'm not saying it wasn't a serious scene. It's just the way he lost it. It was just so like anticlimactic. I just thought it'd be a lot more dramatic the way he lost his eye. I mean, he lost his damn eye. I mean, come on, it just happened. But yeah, there was that as well. But yeah, the pacing, the middle bit was just so slow. It was so slow. Then the finale went too fast. So that was a little bit annoying because the final battles, they were cool. I think the best parts of this movie were the fight scenes and the chase scenes. There's some of those in this movie. They're good. I do enjoy, like, at the start there's a really good fight scene, like fist fights with a lot of people. Really loved that. At the end there's some good battles as well, but the ending battles, they went too fast, and they were just they didn't structure it really well. Like, the start of it, first like 20 minutes or so, that was fine. The rest of it, it just wasn't, the pacing wasn't right for me. So yeah, the middle was just too slow for my liking. So yeah, that's an issue with it for sure. The visuals were okay. The visuals were at times great, at times not so good. Sometimes it looked a bit weird. Obviously effects are effects, you know it's fake, but the point is you're meant to make it look believable. Like, it can't look fake is the point. And sometimes you kind of like look at it and think, the effects could be done better here and there. You know, some of the effects were just a little bit off. It wasn't terrible, but it was a little bit off. But yeah, there's some good effects as well. The best scenes, as I said, were the action scenes. The most intense scenes of the movie were definitely the best scenes, for sure. The humor, because the Marvel movies, obviously, they're known for having humor. Some of them are more serious, but even the more serious ones do have the humor in it. Like Infinity War was very serious, but it still had a lot of jokes in it. So this one, there wasn't as much, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. More of the jokes came towards the end, actually, to be fair. The jokes were actually quite funny. A bit funnier than usual, actually. But they weren't really there that much, which again isn't a bad thing. But at times it didn't really feel like a Marvel movie, which I guess also isn't a bad thing, really, because you want them to feel different, really. You don't want everything to feel the same. But this one wasn't really different in a good way. It was like, it just felt a bit off at times, you know. Sometimes I forgot it was a Marvel movie, to be honest. Like, sometimes there were scenes that take you out of it a little bit. Some scenes reminded me of Star Wars in a way. I can't really explain it without spoiling the movie, but there's some space scenes that remind me of Star Wars, a bit of space battles. There's something else, I forgot to write it down, there's something else that the movie reminded me of. There's a different franchise that reminded me of. Star Wars was one, there was one before that, at the start of the movie that I got memories. Green Lantern. Yeah, Green Lantern. Not necessarily the movie. Sorry, I stutter so much. Not necessarily the movie, but I mean the character. How he's a pilot and he's in some space force. This is similar. Like, she's in some space force and she was a pilot. There's some similarities there. It's not exactly the same. It's very different, but they do show you how she gets her powers. And I think it's really cool how she gets her powers. Like, I think it's very interesting. I was like, okay, so I don't think she was born with her powers. I think she just got them, and I was like, all right, that's pretty interesting. That's pretty interesting. Another thing, the Skrulls. The Skrulls were interesting. The Skrulls were obviously they're shapeshifters that can turn into any person. They can look at a person and turn into them. They also take in their memories, their latest memories. They're from like the last few years, I guess. They don't remember like when they were born, etc. They just remember like when they take someone's body. They don't take their body, but they look at a body. They take their body, and they take some of their memories, the most recent memories. So that's an interesting power. I think it's pretty cool, and I think there are definitely Skrull on Earth. Just the way the movie makes me think, I think there's some Skrull on Earth. I think there's a rumor that one of the Avengers are a Skrull, so that should be interesting if that turns out to be true. But yeah, the Skrulls were interesting. I didn't expect to like them as much as I did, but I kind of liked them, to be fair. They were some of the best parts of this movie. Speaking of best parts, the main villain was good. The main villain, I thought he was fine. He wasn't like an amazing villain. Marvel are not known for great villains, but recently they've done better. Vulture was good in Homecoming. Hela was good. Killmonger was amazing. Thanos was amazing. So they've done some great villains recently, in recent years. This guy, not quite as good as those ones, but he was pretty good. I quite liked him. I quite liked his role in the movie. Ronan. This guy. I watched Guardians of the Galaxy. Obviously, I watched that a lot of times. I love that movie. I think it's one of the best MCU movies even now. But Ronan was a bad villain in that movie. He wasn't good. He was just there. He wanted to cause destruction. He wasn't a good villain in Guardians. So I thought maybe in this movie he might redeem himself. You know, for me anyway, he might change my outlook on him. It didn't. He was just. He didn't. I didn't see him as anything different. I just saw him as like another just bad villain from Marvel. So this movie didn't change my view on him, which I'm kind of disappointed by, because I thought it would. I thought I would like him more after this movie, and clearly I was wrong. So there we go. That's why you don't expect things when you go into the cinema. And yeah, Goose the Cat was surprisingly interesting. There are a couple quite emotional scenes. One of them I think they're done pretty well. I think like this movie isn't meant to have heart, obviously. It's meant to have heart, this movie. And there are a couple emotional scenes. One of them I was like, okay, I kind of like this. There was another big emotional scene, and it just didn't fit. It just didn't. It was meant to pull off an emotional. It was meant to be emotional, but it just didn't work. It just didn't fit in that moment. It just felt weird to me when it happened. It was meant to be a good scene, and it was a good scene in a way, but it just didn't land. You know when a scene's like, it's the right scene to do, but it just doesn't quite work? Yeah, it was one of those scenes. I don't know if you know what I mean, but yeah, there's that as well. It was, yeah, there was an emotional scene where I thought, it's a bit off. There's another scene where I was like, wow, that's quite heartwarming as well. And a couple more things. There was a bit of the music. There was some 90s music in this, but it was a bit out of place. There was music playing during a battle, which I thought was really weird, because I mean, music can play during a battle, they usually do, but the song that was playing during this particular battle, it just did not fit at all. I was just like, why is this music here? This is a cool battle, but why is this music here? It just felt really weird to me, like what was happening during one of the fight scenes in terms of the music. It was just, it was strange. It was strange to me. Also, you get to find out the Avengers' origin. I don't mean the team's origin. I mean the team name's origin is in this movie. So, yeah, I'm not gonna say what it is, but the team's origin is in this. It's not something like something amazing, not groundbreaking, but you get to see where the name Avengers comes from. So there was a thing in this movie, a powerful thing, an artifact. If you've seen the movie, I think you know what it is. It is a powerful thing that we've seen in previous MCU movies multiple times, in multiple movies, especially the Avengers movies. And you might guess what it is by now, but I'm not going to say what it is just in case it's a spoiler, just in case people don't get it. But when I saw this thing, I thought, wait a second, isn't this thing meant to be over there? Based on a previous movie. So I think there's a continuity error. I think there's a timeline error in this. I don't know whether I'm right, or maybe Marvel changed the timeline. I have no idea. Maybe they retconned it. I have no idea. But when I saw this thing, I was like, wait a second. Wait, what? But if this is here, then what's over? I was so confused. Like, why is this thing here? Like, that's all I can say. That's all I can say at the moment. That's at the moment. I'm not gonna make a spoiler video. I don't think I'm gonna make a spoiler video. I might, but nah, I'm not gonna make one. if you've seen the movie, then you know what I mean. Like, you see this thing here and you're like, wait a second, that's not meant to be here. Like, it shouldn't be here, surely. But yeah, I can't really explain much apart from that. And yeah, that's it in terms of the movie. So onto the credit scenes. The second one, I don't think I can tell you it's worth waiting for. It's not usually, like in Marvel end credit scenes, the first mid credit scene is the one that teases another movie, and then or teases something else, and then the one at the end of the credits is usually something funny, something comedic. This time wasn't comedic. This time it was just something random and was meant to be funny, but it wasn't. So I'm not sure if the final ending credit scene is worth staying for. But the first after credit scene is worth staying for. The mid credit scene. So the credits roll, you get all these visuals, all the main actors' names. Then you get this first after credit scene. Stay for that. Definitely stay for that. That is worth staying for. Even if you hate Captain Marvel, if you're looking forward to Avengers Endgame, then stay for that. It is a scene from that movie. That's all I'm gonna say. It is a scene from that movie. Just like in Ant-Man. Ant-Man after credit scene, they showed a scene from Civil War. It's the same thing. Endgame, they showed a scene from Endgame. So yeah, just so you know. Just so you know. And also, one last thing, not about the movie. I mentioned earlier how I don't take Rotten Tomatoes seriously, but for some reason I keep checking it and I don't know why. Okay, I don't know why. So the critic score is high in the 80s. It's low 80s, but it's in the 80s, which is high for any movie. And the audience score is at 31%, so that is pretty low. So what I'm thinking based on this is they're both biased. That is my opinion. That's my unbiased opinion. I think they're both biased. I think the critics are giving it a higher rating because they're trying to give it a good image. They're kind of biased a bit towards this Marvel movie, I think. That's just my opinion anyway. There are some bad reviews as well, but still 81% is high. So I think it's high because people are trying to give it a good review. Trying to give it a better review than they actually think of it. You know what I mean? But I also think the audience score is so low because people want to hate it. I just think people hated it before they saw it anyway, and I think some people are hating it without even seeing it as well. So I think like I think both scores are biased. I don't think it's as good as 80%, but it's not as bad as 30. You know, I don't think it's that bad. Just like I defended Venom, I defended BVS, I'm defending this. Okay, I don't think it's great. I told you just now a lot of issues with the movie. There was a lot of issues there. There was a lot of issues. But it wasn't terrible. Like, I still enjoyed parts of it, and yeah, it wasn't great though. It wasn't great, nothing that special. It's just that the main thing was Brie Larson is Captain Marvel, and she didn't really pull it off as well as I thought she would. I mean, I didn't think she would. Obviously, you've got to see the movie first, but she didn't pull it off as well as we would have liked. So yeah, that's a bit of a worry, but hopefully in Endgame she's a lot better, and hopefully in the future. Because Captain America vs Avenger, I didn't like him after that movie. So I mean, I liked him, I respected him, he was a hero, but I don't think he was a great hero. So maybe my mind on Captain Marvel will change, just like it did with Captain America. So we'll see. All right, so yeah. Yeah, you heard my rating already, so yeah, Grandad loved it anyway. This is your boy Davidoff. Please like, share, subscribe. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. I should have sat in the middle. Yeah, it's a bit late now, innit? See ya.